seeing.
Finstanza unite, Miami stands to fight, lights burn bright. From the water they rise, fins cut the air, storming fields.
Woo!
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Miami Dolphins post-game show here on FTSN. I'm Bobby Finstock, that's Finstanza, and we are joined always with Brett Lagasse. Thank you all for tuning in.
Mwah.
That is right, you see it in the center there. Finstanza is celebrating the Miami Dolphins.
Woo!
Everything went Miami's way. The Indianapolis Colts lose against the Giants, and what was like the defense couldn't find a way to win, but every time the defense would come up with an INT, that was amazing. Thank you, Joe Flacco and the Colts, for losing. Thank you, Giants, for winning, finding a way to win.
Thank you, Drew Lock.
Thank you, Drew Lock. Hey, and
Malik
how
Neighbors.
about the Miami Dolphins? You know,
Don't talk
Finstanza
about
and I
Malik Neighbors.
we had a 13-9 prediction.
Sorry, I'm losing the championship because of Malik Neighbors. Sorry. Well, he's one of the reasons.
13-9 prediction, and it almost for a while seemed that was going to be the case, but Huntley decided to throw a touchdown. He had a rushing touchdown. He threw another touchdown.
He's an
Ended up
athlete.
being a 20-3 victory for the Miami Dolphins. That eliminates the Cincinnati Bengals, I believe, from playoff contention.
No.
No. Okay.
If the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Steelers and the Dolphins and the Broncos lose, the
Yeah.
Bengals
So
are
there
in.
is a road for them still.
If all
Okay.
three teams lose, the Broncos still get in.
So, yeah, the Dolphins need one team to lose.
No, they
And
need
that's
the Broncos to lose. They need the Broncos
That's
to
it.
lose.
Well,
That's it.
obviously to win. Yeah, so I'm saying they need one team to lose. That's the Broncos.
And
The Bengals
right.
need two teams to lose. They need
yes,
the Dolphins.
and by the way, Andy Reid owes us one. He got the number one seed. There's the press conference all over X. We gave him the number one seed. He thanked Miami for beating New England to get the number one seed back in 2020. He owes us one. They better play some starters. Carson Wentz can do it, but they better play some starters next week. They better.
There was talk.
Yeah,
that
the
they
Colts
weren't
are
planning to
eliminated.
bench
The
him.
Colts are eliminated.
Colts are
Yep.
gone.
Yeah, they're done. So, but Miami
Miami.
all Miami needs now, they have to beat the Jets next week, and they need the Broncos to lose against the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Dolphins are in, as crazy as that sounds. Yesterday the news came out that Tua was doubtful. Skylar Thompson was elevated. We didn't know for sure if that was going to be the case, if Tua was going to be out. It was the case when me and Finstanza we're live early today on pregame. Even though that was the case, we both chose Miami to win, and Miami did so. Obviously, we're going to go over everything, but just, shout out to Tyler Huntley for playing a very good game as the backup quarterback. This is what we talked about this, Evan and Brett. I'm sure you thought the same, but this was, for me, the silver lining to seeing Tyler Huntley today over Tua, even though you would want your best guy out there, is Tyler. You get to see what your QB2. Stop it. Wait a second. Your QB2, what he can do in this situation, and then QB2 step up. That makes you feel good about, hey, if we did bring him back, is he reliable? Well, he showed today he could be, and look what he was able to do to extend the plays when the pocket broke down around him. He went running for the first down. I mean, it was, and I mean that slingshot pass where he was getting wrapped up down for a sack, and he got it straight to, I believe, Mozart. That, even though I think it was second, and it was only like a 3-yard pass. It was still like, what the hell? So
better than negative.
Better than negative. Hey, but one is better than none. But
he's a strong boy. He's a strong boy.
And shout out to the defense as well, coming in and doing their job. I mean, again, you go, but it's against DTR, and it doesn't matter. They had to do their job, and they did it. They got it done.
I gotta do it on that later.
Yeah. So, anywho, they stepped up. Yeah, there were a lot. Well, I'm sure I don't have to bring it up. The guys will, but there were some head scratches. Going, what the hell are you doing? But they survived. I mean, Twitter was. I don't usually go on X during a game. I try to stay off of it, especially because if people, my app is a little slower than most. But I went on it a couple times today, and my goodness, I was watching a lot of the Dolphins community going nuts on Coach McD and everybody. But Miami finds a way to win. They get the job done. So it's here. The Dolphins are still alive, 20-3, beating the Cleveland Browns. Finstanza, are you cool if Brett starts first and then you follow up?
Anything for the guy who forgets to include me on all his.
Oh, geez, Lou.
Anything for the guy who I represented. Anything for the guy who I said is my mentor, who converted me to the dark side.
I have a PR department.
And look what happened. Greg Maney is going to spank you on Thursday. You better be there, and you better be there Thursday.
I swear, Finstanza is my my PR. It's great because Huntley looked good. People were like talking bad about Huntley. Like, he looks good to me.
Yeah,
no problem. He played well. He ran well. He knew where the weaknesses were in the offensive line. I have big issues with the offensive line system, how they block things up. I have a major issue with that. Constantly using tight ends. I remember seeing a video of Scarnecchia back in the day with the Patriots, asking his players. He gave them like 3 options. Who thinks this is better? Who thinks that's better? He's like, it really doesn't matter. There's multiple ways to skin a cat, as he would say. So and that's the thing. Like, when it's not working, change it up. Like, blocking systems, like, you have different options. You can change it up. It's not that big of a deal with professional players. So, but overall, like, even with the bad blocking system, bad missed assignments and all, and a rookie left tackle, Huntley knew. And Huntley, so that play of the Mostert, that shot pass, that's because he knew on film where his guys are supposed to be. He knew the play where his guys are supposed to be. That's what Greg said. That's real quarterback game management. Huntley was hitting guys on target. He was hitting Tyreek when he needed to play. It's funny how that works. And they weren't using Achane. You notice they sat Achane and went to the bigger backs after a while. Now the short yardage, Evan and asked me, why don't they run Wilson? Well, you can see even with Wilson, they don't really have a lot of effect.
Yep.
It's more like that. That was pretty much a triple option. I'm not a huge fan of it, but like, I get what they're trying to do, but they don't have the players to do it and execute it because their tight ends are god awful in the end.
So what's wrong with the sneak, by the way?
I don't count. Well, I don't know if you're going to be able to sneak. You just have to
with Huntley. Huntley could jump.
Yeah, but I don't think you have the offensive line to push. I don't know, but with the tight ends, they're just Smythe is just bad. He just doesn't do anything well. I hate the dog the guy, but he's not reusable in his system. Julian Hill's been pretty decent, but he's just inconsistent. And Jonnu, he's more of an outside blocker. He blocks well in space, but he's not your guy that you want in line blocking. But he'll give it the effort. But overall, I mean, like, the offense played a hell of a game. They came alive. I know everybody's going to be dogging the offense and saying this and that, but they did what they could with what they had.
That's right.
They got a rookie, and Malik Washington. I love how he plays the game. And when we drafted him, I was excited because he is that kind of guy that is just tough, physical. Even if he's a third receiver, like, at worst, I think he's a Jericho Cotchery kind of guy. Just does the dirty work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he just hangs in there. Defensively, has anybody done more with less than Anthony Weaver?
Amazing.
No.
I mean,
they're going to go up in the ranks of defense.
Yep.
They're going to be. They can make it to 5 or 6 this season.
Yeah,
they're 6 right now.
And somebody to me said that Holland.
8.
Well,
I checked before the game, Evan. Don't.
I have
put the stat on. Go watch the game. Go relive the stat. They put it up.
Listen. They were
6 against the run.
They were 23rd or 13th in the NFL with 23 points given up per game. 23.5 points per game given up. The offense was like, they were right now like 24th. You remove that, put where Tua was, and they jump up a bit. So you see this team is just, the offense just isn't scored enough, and that's been a big issue. The defense has done fantastic. They give up 30 points 4 times. One of those against the Titans. Actually, I don't think they gave it up. No, they didn't give up 4 times. Excuse me. That's wrong because I calculated the pick 6 against the Bills. That doesn't count. So the defense had given up 30 points 3 times, and each time they lost, and 3 of the 8 losses were that, and it just showed you that the offense just isn't shooting out like they used to, but the defense has just done their job. And you couldn't ask them to do any more against the Texans. You couldn't ask them to do any more even against the Packers. You couldn't ask them to do any more against the Jets when they had to. You can't ask the defense to do any more. And like Evan, when you said that now the defense couldn't get a stop, it's because the offense couldn't stay on the field, so the defense was just struggling.
I'm just trolling.
No, I know. But that's the thing. Like, the defense gets a bad rep when the offense is struggling. And it's just like this defense, like, hung in there, made plays, and Calais Campbell, who's ageless, he's fighting for that. Dude, he made a play, was fired up, yelling at somebody on the sideline for messing up their
assignment. Jonnu Smith. He was yelling at Jonnu Smith.
He was yelling, and I was like, oh, okay, Calais Campbell, that's the leadership we need. That's the fire we need. And last thing I want to point out, shout out to Jordan Brooks. Ever since that whole
Yep.
talk, he not only talked the talk, but he's walking the walk.
He's walking it 100%.
He said, we didn't play tough against Green Bay. We played soft. It is what it is.
He
and
needs
I
to
don't
call
like
My Pillow. He has to carry My Pillow to put it down
Right.
before he.
And-
What kind of? That was
and
the
you know-
worst.
Oh, that was horrible.
How bad was that, Bobby?
And
That's a tackle.
but
What was
Jordan
he
Brooks was playing fast and hard all season.
Oh, he's physical.
But let me tell you, after that call out against Green Bay, he took that personal. And he stepped up. And that's why, like, right now, he's you have to keep him for next year along with Sealer. You keep him next year because he just, man. And also, shout out to Chop Robinson for laying the wood on what could have been a backwards pass, being aware to say, hey, I'm going to keep him from catching the ball, laid the wood on Judy to make sure he couldn't recover it. So,
Not me.
to be fair, him and Patrick Paul were not ready to go, and Patrick Paul is still not ready to go because that dude cannot.
But being not ready to go is not being a bust.
By the way, I know.
No.
By the way, Patrick Paul's a rookie, but that mask is so cool. Like the way he wears that Bane mask is pretty cool.
It looks pretty cool when he's lost. Like, what the hell just happened?
But whoa. If he had but Brett, if he had a Robert Hunt style or Isaiah Wynn on the left side, like Kendall Lamb was covered a lot by Isaiah Wynn. Isaiah Wynn took a bad penalty, but he has no support on the left guard spot.
My problem is
support.
That's a big problem with the blocking scheme, and they keep sliding. And I put that it's either a quarterback, center, or whoever's calling that. Frank Smith and Butch Berry. I've been hard on all of them with the blocking assignments because it's not being called right, and they're not executing right, and they're not sliding protection where they need to, and they're not seeing where the extra rush is coming from. And a lot of times, like they would slide the opposite direction, almost like it was obvious which way they were sliding. I'd have to watch the film to see if there's a tell, but you could tell which way they were sliding because that's when the Browns would get home. And Huntley knew where the holes were on the defense, though, because that's how he got his big runs.
Yeah.
Huntley to start for 2025.
Oh my, Evan!
I won't go long. I promise. I promise.
Hold on. Wait, let me write down the time very quick.
8:19.
8:19. Okay, all to say, I would like to congratulate Snoop Huntley. I'm going to go very quickly. Snoop Huntley.
Yeah.
He played very, very well, considering the fact that every time he got the ball, one of his offensive linemen, Mike McDaniel, screaming at Tyler Huntley at the beginning of the game because Alec Ingold was not set up properly. Tyreek Hill. They had drives where they were 3rd and 27. They got the ball. They got an interception at the 50, and then Dobson, who I'll get to in a minute, made a great play, and then we ended up on our own 26. Tyler Huntley ended up behind the 8 ball so many times with the game calling of this offense. And the one thing I'll disagree with Brett on is that I don't care if you can't go north-south, to pull the ball back on 4th and inches, back 3 yards to try to make space when your linemen and your tight ends can't block. That's ridiculous. On the offense, on the rushing attack, Mike McDaniel, awful. Tyler Huntley had the most yards, 7 for 52. I'm okay they didn't play Devon Achane today. It wasn't his game today. That's totally fine. Let other players do their job. Tyreek Hill, congratulations, 11,000 yards for surpassing that. 9 for 9. You didn't drop one ball. You had 100 yards. You supported your quarterback today. You did what you had to do. You were a star today. When you had to show up, you were great today. You even went back and collected kicks. Good for you. Malik Washington, one bad drop, but he's a great 3-4 wide receiver. That was fine. Everyone else did their job. Special teams, Danny Crossman, we all know you still need to go. Jake Bailey, one bad punt. I'll forgive you because you made up for it. Saran Neal, who's supposed to be your gunner, took 2 awful penalties today as a leader, 2 10-yard penalties that were absolutely inexcusable. I think this is the 3rd or 4th time Saran Neal has gone out of bounds. But give kudos to Jay. I don't care if it doinked. Jason Sanders is goddamn money. If you need him next week, he is going to win you. He'll get you into the playoffs. He'll do his job. I don't care if it's doink or not. The man has made 25 consecutive field goals and is 9 for 9, 50 plus. Bobby Melendez was so hard on him last year.
Oh, you bastard! Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
But but honestly,
the only one on this channel, the only one in the
I
family
don't
of the Miami
consider him
Dolphins that
special
stood
teams.
by Jason Sanders.
I know. By the way, I must say, he doesn't belong in special teams. He's an offensive player because he has given this team more points and more potential wins this year. They would not have 8 wins without Jason Sanders. They'd be lucky if they had 4. He changes the momentum of a game by not making the mistakes. 25 consecutive field goals. When the kicker last night couldn't hit a 20, they were worried that they could have kicked many field goals tonight, the Browns. They didn't trust their kicker. The guy could not make a kick all game.
Yeah.
Hopkins. So kudos. Defense, Dobson. To replace Anthony Walker and to have 15 tackles, 8 solos, a pass deflected, an interception, a QB hit, re-sign this guy. To get him mid-season, good pickup by Greer. I don't want to compliment Greer, good pickup by Greer. Jordan Brooks, a stud. Who was the other guy? Jerome Baker, last name Baker? I don't miss you at all. Calais
I
Campbell.
can't tell you all that.
I extend.
Let me just sorry if it's in one pause just 1 second. G-Man, besides beating the Jets, the Dolphins need the Broncos to lose against the Chiefs. That's what they need in order to get in. Okay, Finstanza, sorry. Go ahead.
Zach Sealer was probably his most quietest game of the year, but he didn't have to be a start today. He just did his job. Ogba had a great game today. But I don't care who, anyone. Snoop Huntley had a great game. This entire game, this foundation of this team, you want to be a winner, you better find a way to convince Calais Campbell to come back next season. He is a monster. He was making tackle after tackle after tackle, big plays to stop drives on the sideline, fired up. He was going into the fact he's getting interviewed the way he is. He's having a better year than Christian Wilkins ever could have this season. This is the kind of guy you build your team around. This guy's a Hall of Famer, Man of the Year guy. What a salt of the earth guy. What a leader this guy is. Unbelievable. Jalen Ramsey showed up when he had to. Poyer, whatever. Holland did what he had to. Made a few mistakes here and there, but he still was going after. I love watching Holland go after the quarterback. It's so much fun to watch. Anthony Weaver, phenomenal guy. Great doing his job, everything he had to do. Let's talk about Mike McDaniel for a second.
Oh, here we go.
He developed. I want to congratulate Mike McDaniel. No, I'd like to congratulate Mike McDaniel in having the forethought to splitting the reps with Tyler Huntley. He said in the postgame, preparing himself and allowing Tyler Huntley to understand the playbook. And he even admitted that he had 2 separate play call sheets and he merged them together. I believe that really helped. So congratulations to Mike McDaniel for having Tyler Huntley prepared. Where I am disappointed in Mike McDaniel, which I'm not going to be hard on him tonight because they won. So good kudos to him. The penalties, to have that many penalties, 11 penalties for 94 yards, to have consistent plays of offside, holding, the way that it was going on some of these drives to end up 3rd and something like that is just unexcusable. It's inexcusable. Like for me, my number one thing on Mike McDaniel, the challenge is you want to know what, go for it. You're not good at it, but that could have been behind the pass. He took chances. You want to know what? Kudos to him. I'm not going to give him crap on going after the challenges at all.
4 for 19 is not good. Oh, sorry.
No. But I'm not going hard on him. My number one heartache with Mike McDaniel is the fact that his team is the most undisciplined football team in the NFL. After what happened last year with Bradley Chubb, how you don't have the 10 straps around people's helmets, not to take penalties like that, to get all excited after they make a big play, because Bradley Chubb did that last year and it hurt you. Why you didn't go after the 3 points on the 4th and 1, just take the points. You were playing a team that wasn't going to come back anyways. That would have given them a little more. You'd have to score 2 touchdowns, not just a field goal. You would have to make it a two touchdown game, not a field goal in a touchdown game. I don't know why he even went for it on 4th and 1, because Jason Sanders' money. His play calling went on the 4th and 1, and the penalties and the mismanagement of that is where I'm disappointed in him. I'm not going to be hard on him on anything else today except the penalties, because if they're excited to play next week and win a football game, we already know their destiny. Whoever wins next week and makes the playoffs is going to Orchard Park. And are you telling me that when you go to Orchard Park, you might have a healthy Waddle, a healthy Tua. Maybe you already said, I guess, for the playoffs, I guess you can't play Bradley Chubb anymore because you put him on IR. When you're going into these games, you can't make penalties like this against a horse crap team like the Browns. Like, you can't make these kind of penalties. And Robert Jones, how they're still putting Liam Eichenberg in and how they're still putting Isaiah Wynn. Honestly, rotate Jones and Eichenberg. Leave Wynn in. Wynn is not your problem. So for me, it's all about the penalties. I am not going to go hard on McDaniel today because they won a football game. There's something to play for next week. I have a lot more to go over McDaniel over the course of a season. But today, the penalties were the inexcusable part for him. Because I'm proud of him that I loved it. Pick up that fucking flag. Excuse me. Pick up that effing flag.
Whoa.
Excuse me.
Shame.
He said it. He said it in front of the children on TV. He said it. So I'm proud of him for getting angry. I'm proud of him for getting frustrated.
I saw that. I thought about you when I saw him running onto the field.
I'm proud of him.
Yeah.
I showed moxie. What I'm disappointed in is that in the end, yes, mediocre players sometimes don't learn. But when you have a team that is together, Eichenberg's been in this system for 3 years. Robert Jones has been in the system for 3 years. Butch Berry's been there for 2 years. Brewer's new to it. But to not have also, I would have given our Patrick Paul all the reps. Like to have Teron Armstead in and then take him out, I think was not good either. Bad coaching from the play calling. There were moments, but for me, it's the offensive line penalties and the lack of preparation from the offense from a discipline perspective that still is my number one concern tonight. Everything else, I don't care because a win is a win today. That brings you to next week where something might actually matter. I'll deal with the frustrations I have with Mike McDaniel after the season. Right now, the penalties have to be cleaned up because the penalties continue to put you in hot water. It's not acceptable to constantly be in 2nd and 10, 2nd and 17, 3rd and 27. That is not only on the offensive line, that is on play calling, and that is on offensive line coaching, which that falls on Butch Berry, Frank Smith, and Mike McDaniel.
Butch Berry a lot. I can't stand it. But the whole Patrick Paul or Teron Armstead thing, that's this guy's fault. That's why we're still doing this.
Yeah.
I'd still do this in a heartbeat. I don't care how many games we win. I don't care if we win playoff games. I'm still
I think everybody's on that boat. I want to say very quick, just Scotty's in the house, but he's right. The challenges come up from up top. They're the ones who tell the coach. Hey,
but he could change his mind. But he could.
But he's not seeing what they're seeing. I mean,
I wonder who does that. I wonder who's in charge of that, though.
I think the first one was fine. The challenge, the Huntley one. The second one was a bad call. It was a bad challenge.
Yeah.
The first one, I would have done the same thing.
Well, the first one, by the way, I think was closer than people thought.
I agree. That's why I think it was worth a challenge.
Had they given him the first down, they wouldn't have overturned it.
So the second one was close enough to be a backward pass, but it was one of those ones where it wasn't enough, and it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, that's why, once after you lost that first one, even if you thought that one was oh, well, like you said, it was just enough that we should take another look at it. When you already lost that first one, that's when you say, no, we need to hold this until the end of the game. Maybe we need it.
And if that wasn't enough evidence, which I didn't agree with what they were saying, that was enough evidence to say it was a first down. But anyway, if they said that wasn't enough evidence to overturn, then I'm not challenging that other one because a backwards pass, there's going to be too grave an area. They're not going to.
Exactly.
On a side note, guys, just a quick question for you. If the Patriots get the number one pick, which right now they're on pace to get the number one pick if things don't change next week. Could a wide receiver a defensive two-way player potentially go first in the draft? Like they can't. They're not going to take an O-lineman, and they're not taking a quarterback.
I think.
And they can always have a good defense.
I'll let Brett respond right after this.
Could they take Travis Hunter? Like honestly,
I wouldn't sleep on that. I would. Again, a lot of stuff has to work out. But with the Patriots, I would. Since they already have their QB1 and Drake May, I would not be surprised if they ransom that pick and try to get additional picks to continue to build around that football team. But Brett, what do you think?
They're trading that pick. They're not staying there.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Because you got the Giants right there. They're like what, pick 2, pick 3?
Right now they're pick 3. I think the Browns losing today might be pick 2.
They got the Browns at 3 and 13 at the moment. So on Tankathon. So the Giants are 4. So let's say that stays either way.
Who's 2? Because the Raiders won today. Tennessee's 2.
Yep. So
Tennessee could go quarterback.
Another one?
Oh yeah, no. Will Levis is not going to stay there. Who do you think?
Titans, Cleveland, Giants. I don't know if they
Malik Willis, but how many quarterbacks are they going to run through?
Well, that's the thing, though. That's the thing. But why hang on to it to a Tannehill? Why hang on to it for so long until you finally say, okay, all right, let's just get a guy that we can build around and keep going. You keep drafting the quarterback till you have one. You don't be afraid of it.
That's right, 100%.
People bash the Jets for it, but the Jets are swinging at a quarterback that'll take chances. You guys know we drafted 2 first-round quarterbacks since Dan Marino. It's Tua and Tannehill. That's it. And we just can't draft the guy with the last name starts with a T again. It's got to be a Brown.
By the way, the Zebras were really bad today. Tolbert's crew is not a great crew. He's
Josh
never-
Wingate in the house. We're talking draft, and there goes Josh popping in.
Yes.
man.
I mean, he
Shout
was
out,
better.
hey, kudos. We talked about Josh earlier.
I
today.
gave him kudos.
I've been giving kudos all season.
Hey,
Bo Nix.
I was actually fine with drafting Malik Willis to be a backup, and then I also was fine with
Yeah.
Malik Willis as a future starter or not, and then we have Malik Willis as a backup, and look what he did in this system. And I got to tell you though, every time I talked about a backup quarterback or drafted a quarterback, and they said like, "Oh no, you just saw what Tyler Huntley did." Now imagine Justin Fields if we assigned him this offseason. People didn't want to. You're telling me that Mike McDaniel can't. You're telling me right now, even if you were to just look at it starting with an athletic quarterback, you're telling me Mike McDaniel couldn't develop an offense around that.
Oh no, but
You know what I
Justin
mean? Like,
Fields.
The
yeah,
kudos
you just-
was for Bo Nix. You talk
So,
about Bo Nix as a quarterback throughout the season. Teams drafting him, and he was.
But I did knock you for saying Chop was a bust.
Hey, I wanted to trade up for Bo Nix, and I was told by some that it wasn't worth trading up for Bo Nix, and that we should just pay Tua because that's the best thing to do. And I said I would trade up for Bo Nix, and well, here we are. Here we are.
I would sign Hunt. By the way, for Scotty's point, I would still bring. You're going to cut Thompson again.
No,
But
I don't-
no. I would sign him, keep him in the because he understands the offense now.
nah.
And then no, bring him in at OTAs. You still draft a very good quarterback and let them compete.
I don't touch the quarterback position. I signed Skylar Thompson. I bring back some whatever for third string. And if Tua gets hurt again, I ride this all the way to the trash can, and I go after Arch Manning in 2026 or Lenore Sellers. I'm just saying.
I know. Let me just say very quick, talking about Tua, very quick, because McDaniel spoke about it after.
It was a joke, Josh. I'm giving you praise on your two wonderful picks of Chop Robinson and Bo Nix. I'm teasing you.
Barry
I gave you such
Jackson.
props.
Barry Jackson says that McDaniel said Tua does not need surgery and has no idea if he will play in the next game, but said playing him would have left him vulnerable to major injury. Ultimately, this is from a continuation of what Barry was saying in McDaniel's words, quote unquote. Ultimately, he absolutely wanted to play. It wasn't a pain tolerance thing. He's not only he not only was super susceptible to a much more significant injury, but a major factor was the lack of strength due to the injury and his inability to protect himself and his teammates within the pocket, doing the things he normally has to do. From a medical perspective, it was not an option for him to play, unquote. Brett, you hear that? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
He's playing, and they protected him. They use that as a buffer just in case they lost and just in case the Broncos won. I hate to say it, but Greer is very good at trying to protect his job and find excuses. We got hit with an injury bug. Well, Tua got hurt. So they lost this week and like, well, Tua got hurt. So, we did what we could with the backup quarterback. So I think they were trying to protect him. I don't know if they're actually going to start him. We'll know if they're serious for sure next week if he sits again. I know they protected Tua quite a bit. Like they put him on IR a few times, like with concussions and stuff. So even though like he didn't feel he needed to be, but I don't know. This is the first time they've sat him other than when they put him on IR. So I don't know. I want to say that they're protecting themselves and they're kind of built-in buffer for next year for 2025. But I also think they're trying to save him for 2025, so he's not getting hurt next year or starting next year hurt.
What it says to me reading this that they're like you said, they're protecting themselves, and that's a reason to say, hey, he's probably not going to play next week. So my follow-up question, and I'll leave that with Finstanza. And Scott, I saw you brought up Kirk Cousins and Will Levis as possible options in on the offseason in a backup role. I don't hate that, but Evan, listening to that, let's say it is what it looks like that Tua could not be possibly playing next week against another must-win game if Broncos lose. Do you, after seeing what you saw today, are you comfortable with the Dolphins against the Jets next week with Tyler Huntley at quarterback?
Yes, as long as they clean up the penalties, because the way that the Jets played today, with the dysfunction that there is there, Aaron Rodgers, unless they play, I'd be more concerned. I'll put it this way. I'm more concerned with Tyrod Taylor playing next week than Tua Tagovailoa not playing. To be clear, I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers playing next week and Tyler Huntley playing for us than Tua playing next week and Tyrod Taylor playing for the Jets.
I like that.
Okay? I would not want to see Tyrod Taylor, a moving mobile quarterback who has actually played well against the Dolphins.
Except for the last 2 times we played him. We have done pretty good against him.
No, Tyrod Taylor specifically actually plays decently.
No, he always does. I'm just saying the last 2 times.
Because he's a mobile quarterback who gets outside the pocket and we can extend plays. Garrett Wilson there. Because Garrett Wilson also, I don't know if you saw that, Brad. Garrett Wilson says if Aaron Rodgers is back next year, I want to be traded.
Oh, Sauce Gardner. Wait, somebody wrote about T. Higgins on Instagram, and a Jet fan, I think, Sauce Gardner wrote, "Pay that man," about T. Higgins, and Jets fan wrote him, "Convince him to come to the Jets," and he said, "I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell him to come to the Jets." So that's dysfunction in New York right now. Sorry to Russ Morgan, but I just want to
owner.
Oh, for sure, Woody Johnson's a mess. But let me just say very quick, because let me just make sure. Eric, knowing Tua, he's playing next week. Look, knowing Tua, I agree. I think Tua would have played today if it was up to him. But this was the team telling him, "No, you're not playing." This and you saw what happened the week before, last week or the week before, excuse me, when we were running. Whoa, what's up with these throws? Even last week, what's up with those throws? Evan was bringing up. Was it the rib cage? I remember that's what, or Brett brought that up. I'm sorry, last week. Is it the rib cage? What the hell is going on there? Because some of the throws, there's been a debate back and forth about Tua's deep throw, but it's been way off this past season where it's kind of ridiculous. And so now you find out, wait a second, it's his hip. And it must be obviously, Coach McDaniel just said it. It is significant enough for Miami to say, whoa, wait a second. You can't do your job correctly. We're risking everybody else. It is worse to keep you in this game or to put you in this game than to let you sit. That's what's crazy. The Dolphins said they made the decision going, okay, we're doing a disservice to our football team if Tua starts today. We're going to put in Tyler Huntley. And you know what? Miami showed today that in spite of not having Tua, that you could win without Tua at quarterback. So, hey, kudos to McDaniel on that. That McDaniel showed he could win with another quarterback. Right.
And he won. He beat the Jets. I know it's the Jets in 22.
Yeah.
In a must win to get in the playoffs. And I joked and I laughed and I said, well, we have 2 different situations. We had another similar situation next week. We could be facing the Jets in New York again with a backup quarterback playing for a playoff spot. Again.
We didn't play in New York when we won the playoff spot. We were playing in Miami. We won 11-6. We were playing in Miami that game.
I thought either way.
It was a home game.
All right. So either way, we're playing the Jets the last game of the season for a playoff spot. So now you look at that like, well, with the backup quarterback and we get in again. Well, we've won with the backup quarterback before, and we didn't play terrible against the Bills with the backup quarterback at all in the playoffs. It was like an ugly game. So, like, you start to wonder, like, it's starting to show, is this a quarterback-friendly system? Or are we going to be in a similar situation like we were with Philbin, where all the stars lined up before the end, the week before the end of the season, where all we have to do is win and in, which it's not really like that. Totally, but we have to control our business and win, and then we get punched in the mouth by the Jets again. That's why I had like the Aaron Rodgers turning into Geno Smith, and then I found out Tyrod Taylor could be starting, and I was like, oh god, Tyrod Taylor turning into Tyrod Taylor in Buffalo.
By the way, I want to just make a point that I don't believe Tua would have played better today had he played than Tyler Huntley. And to give I want to give less kudos to Mike McDaniel on that, because of the fact that a lot of the plays that Tyler Huntley made today, Tua can't make. Tua could not get outside the pocket as fast as Tyler Huntley can. Tyler Huntley is a football player. He took hits. He went diving. That touchdown he scored, Tua's getting destroyed.
Yep.
The plays that he manufactured outside the pocket, which is a tutelage to what he did with the Ravens, was Tyler Huntley using his athletic ability to make plays. The throw he made to Mostert, that I understand it's a spot throw, but Tua's not making that throw.
Yeah.
Tyler Huntley did things today Tua cannot do because Tua's not built that way. So kudos to Tyler Huntley.
Thing. People don't realize that Teddy Bridgewater made some throws and tried things that Tua didn't do a lot. He did do in 23 though. And real quick with you guys, I want to bring something up to you guys. The hip injury, Bobby. I wanted to see, like, you brought up the whole hip thing, right? And we said that his ball placement's been off pretty bad the last 2 years. I'm starting to wonder if that hip is starting to be a lingering effect from his injury in college. We saw Bo Jackson career and because of a hip. And then people say, well, that was years ago. Medical is different. It is, but Mike Pouncey, Brandon Marshall, all couldn't get through the hip injuries. Albert Wilson retired because of that hip injury. He never recovered. I'm starting to wonder if Tua's career is shortened because of that hip injury. I really do. I do wonder, like, if it's going to be something that's causing him an issue, which is why he's not as mobile or doesn't have that twitch anymore. It's just, to me, it seems like as the year progresses, as the year gets later, Greg brought this up, he starts to get, his throws start to get more labor intensive. So I'm starting to wonder if he's even, I don't know. Honestly, as much as people aren't going to like to hear it, even though we paid him, it's definitely time to start looking at quarterback. And I think Tyler Huntley's play today proved that Tua might not be the guy.
Listen, again, this is what Tyler Huntley for sure proved today, is that Miami could bring him back and he could be a reliable QB2 or possibly compete. There was already a report that Miami was interested in bringing him back, and it was not a lock to be QB2, but to compete for QB2 and possibly be QB3. I think after reading what McDaniel had said, and then you start reading between the lines and you're seeing, wait a second, it's not, people are all worried about concussions, but it's now also the hip. And that injury's been there since, maybe it's a different hip, I don't know, but hip injury is the same thing he had in college. Is it a lingering issue, as Brett is saying? I'm not sure, but it could be. And if that is the case, what I'm reading from McDaniel also tells me, don't sleep at Miami going after a quarterback, whether that's a veteran backup and Kirk Cousins or Will Levis, or in the draft where they use one of those premium picks. And I'm not saying first, second. I know, don't get me wrong. I just had Brett from Canesware say, man, I hope Miami trades their first, second, third. Shout out to Canesware, our sponsor, but also the Canesware podcast. Brett Gettleman, he was like, he proposing trade the first, second, third, and it's second next year, the first next year to trade up and get Cam Ward to back up to it and get up to Navi. And look, let me just say this. I'm not opposed to Miami, and I don't think Miami is either. I think Miami will use one of those premium, I'm talking about third, fourth round pick on one of these guys, and it will be like a Will Levis. This draft reminds me of that type. Will Levis, Malik Willis, where you get a guy later in the draft that many people think, oh, this guy's going to go number one when he falls in the draft. You could get a guy, a decent QB in the second, third, fourth, fifth round. And I think Miami will do that, especially with Tua's lingering issues. And it doesn't mean, if they draft a guy in the third, fourth, fifth round, they don't get a guy next year. No, because if Tua gets hurt again, then you definitely have to move up and get it. Right. Scotty, third comp pick for Carson Beck or Jackson Dart. Dalen Gabriel, I saw a name out there. I saw a couple games of Dalen Gabriel, some tape on him. I like what I saw from him. He is a smaller quarterback, but there are some decent quarterbacks in this draft that you could get at 4, 5, 6 in the mid rounds that are going to be, better than.
By the way, how amazing is it that the greatest thing to ever happen to the Minnesota Vikings was J.J. McCarthy getting injured? Sam Darnold. Do you understand the Carolina Panthers, before they draft Bryce Young, their two starters at the end of the year were Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold? Talk about people who could not coach these guys up, because now they have two coaches in this guy, Liam Cohen, who's like a wizard with Tampa, and Kevin O'Connell doing what he's doing with Sam Darnold. Like, if you're the Vikings next year, do you re-sign Sam Darnold? Because he's going to get a lot more money than $10 million. Well, so he's going to get the Baker Mayfield contract. No, he's going to get $35 a year.
The answer is no.
Who are you? Who would go after Darnold next year? Who would you be?
Anybody who coaches this system?
Yeah, I would say for me, I mean, if I'm Minnesota, obviously you want to make sure that JJ is healthy enough to be, but you drafted JJ to be your starter. You start him. He's your guy next year, and you go get another guy who's possibly looking and trying to revive his career as your backup. And Sam Darnold, you let him ride it out. You go, send him some, let him go somewhere else and get his money. I don't know what team would do it. I can't think of that right now. But maybe the team that misses out on one of the top guys. I mean, in the draft.
You know who I was trying to talk, Bobby? You know who I was talking to through the television? Like, talk about a calm guy. Mike Vrabel's going to have the choice of his life. He should just sit there and go, who wants Vrabel, yeah. Honestly, like, if I'm the Browns, Stefanski's won 2 years in a row. But they may, if they're smart, they may have their head coach there. But I don't think he'd want the job there. But like, because Ben Johnson's sort of weaning himself out if he wants to interview the other team. But like, Flores and Vrabel are huge next year. Huge.
I'll tell you, Stefanski should be a hot commodity as a head coach if the Browns let him go. He's a fantastic coach. He's overall,
You think he's the one who won Watson, or you think that was the owners?
That was the
don't-
owner.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
he's got a lot of choices. He does not seem like he wanted Watson at all.
No.
Like, I don't think he wanted any of the quarterbacks.
I don't think
he
Barry
has.
wanted Watson. I think that was Haslam. Haslam wanted Watson.
Yeah, I think he wanted Baker, to be honest with you, but I think he wanted something similar to Baker. But that run game is good. The defense, everything always seems to be well coached. It's just the decision making up top.
Miles Garrett. How big is Miles Garrett?
He's
Huge.
His arms are about this big.
If Greer wants a chance of competing next year, you trade for him.
No, they're going to trade for Crosby.
Yeah. Well, Crosby, I'll take Crosby. I'm just not giving up 2 firsts and a second or whatever they gave up for Tyreek for him.
No. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to.
You wouldn't trade a third for Crosby?
I would trade a third.
A third, yeah.
Third heartbeat.
A second?
But Brett just brought up 2 first round.
I was joking around with 2 firsts and a second.
Would you trade 2 seconds?
No, I'm not going to 2 seconds.
Premium picks, brother. Third round pick,
if Greer's the GM.
No,
because you got Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips coming back, and you're gonna have Chop.
Chubb's gone.
Chubb's gone because Chubb's cap hit next year is almost $30 million.
They're gonna
restructure his deal
unless he's willing to restructure.
He's got to restructure.
So they'll if they don't restructure him. I think if they restructure or cut him, it'd be like a $20 million saving this year, but like a $26 million hit next year. But if they restructure,
they're gonna restructure him because no team's gonna take on that
years.
contract. Yeah, no team's gonna take that deal.
Well, if they cut him though, they save 20, then somebody could just sign him. But either way, Miami's got 26 million dead next year, so. Restructure if he's willing makes more sense because then you get something out of him this year. So you get something out of him instead of the dead cap next year. But
that's right.
This is Miami we're talking about.
Exactly. That's why I know they're going to restructure him. They're not just to get rid of him.
He's an injured player. Why not?
Yeah, they're going to keep him.
By the way, I've got to give credit once again because you've been knocking him for so long. He did that in 25-mile-an-hour winds, Jason Sanders. That was a beautiful doink. What a kick. I'm going to keep on reminding everybody that how hard we were on this network on Jason Sanders.
I wasn't. Don't say me. Not me. I was the one here. I was getting pulled off.
But honestly, kudos to him. He has ice in his veins now.
He does. Dude.
He's not going to miss. He's not.
Something was going off outside of off the field, and he turned it back on, and he showed why. He showed why he was a Pro Bowl kicker and why he's one player of the month.
Of course, Greg brought it up a couple times. Maybe it was something with the long snapping and all that because,
maybe it's Blake Ferguson
off because the timing's off or whatever. So, who knows? Maybe the ball wasn't getting there in time. Maybe just something was off. Maybe they weren't working as much.
You're smart because since he's 25 for 25, Blake Ferguson hasn't been there.
Yeah.
Right.
So
they've had 2 different long snappers.
I'm not smart. Greg said it.
Kudos to Greg. Who didn't answer any of our texts? Shame on you on your vacation. You didn't answer any of my texts.
But Jason Sanders has done. He's done fantastic. And hey, he's been last week. He was 5 for 5. And I keep putting Tony Sperano out there. Rest in peace, Sperano. All respect to him, but I keep putting that fist bump out there with an old joke that he loves field goals. But we had 5 drives go for field goals, and as much as I hate it, it was great to see Sanders just being so money on those field goals, where it's at least we're coming away with points. But
hey, guy, I just want to say something very quick because I got this from Brett of Kane's work, Brett Gettleman. He just told me right now that they are doing a raffle, $25 raffle. Only 25 will be sold, and a winner will receive a Dolphins starter jacket. Oh. Beautiful jacket. Actually, I think I have that one, and a Mark Clayton signed jersey. All you have to do is buy a raffle ticket for $25. It says winner will receive both items. So you get the Dolphins starter jacket and the Mark Clayton signed jersey. And everyone else who doesn't win will receive a $25 Caneswear gift card. So you're basically getting your money back. So that is freaking huge. Go to Caneswear.com. I'm seeing it here. I'll share this on Twitter. But guys, go to Caneswear and check out this raffle he has going on right now, man. Caneswear is killing it. They're awesome. Love the Caneswear podcast. Brett is amazing. And I mean, he's always doing this. That's what's cool. You guys got to pay attention to Caneswear podcast and Caneswear.com and the Caneswear shop. If you're in Florida, they're always doing raffles. They're giving away gift cards. They got amazing stuff. Okay. He's shoving it. He always needs to get cred. Shout out to Finstanza for introducing me to Caneswear when I got there.
Brett never thanked me.
Did he? Brett never thanked you?
He's always yelling at
you.
He's always yelling at Brett's for not giving him credit.
Where do you
I
think I,
know.
bought? Where do you think I bought these glasses? I'm all. Where do you think I bought most of my merch, Brett? Come on, no kudos. No
He's not
token
yelling
of
at me,
appreciation.
guys. He's not yelling at me. He's hoping.
By the way, my name is Barry Horowitz. Okay, I always gotta tap myself. Remember Barry
Um,
Horowitz?
Said Joe Horowitz? What? Oh.
No, Barry Horowitz, the wrestler. By the way, I want to apologize to John Smith because they keep on showing it on Twitter. The look before the halftime report, Calais Campbell was yelling at Robert Jones.
Okay.
Robert Jones, who honestly, I used to like. He played one good game in his life at left tackle, replacing Jesse Davis a couple of years ago. Since then, he's been awful.
I don't know if you guys know. So one of the other media outlets had reported, I think it was CK Parrott, had said that one of the, I'll call it reports from what they had heard was Robert Jones was McDaniel's guy. He wanted him to start. He likes his potential, but I think he wanted him a right guard. But Greer still wanted Eichenberg to start, and McDaniel didn't see Eichenberg as a long-term center and didn't want him to start. So the compromise, they got Brewer as the center, and then Eichenberg's only position he could really play is right guard, so they moved him there. And then Robert Jones at left guard. So I really feel like McDaniel's vision was Robert Jones at right guard, Wynn at left guard, and then somebody else at center, possibly Brewer. But it just seems like they're messing up. Now, the thing I will say, though, this offensive line is not really that far off to being fixed. You need a left tackle. I don't know if Patrick Paul's going to be in or not, but you need another tackle because I don't know if Austin Jackson's going to stay healthy. Patrick Paul, I don't know where he's going to be at development-wise, and Armstead you clearly can't rely on. So,
Armstead's done. Armstead's done.
You need a left tackle and a right guard. And,
so right now for me, right, like I hear you on the tackles. If Chris Greer is still the GM, obviously we know who the tackles are going to be. But for sure,
those guys.
Yeah, for sure. I hope they would target a guard or maybe a guard who could play both positions. You know, 1 and 2 guards. I mean, get another guard too while you're at it. You know,
well, DS Global. I brought up the Evan a few times. I brought up earlier the blocking system and the assignments. It just makes no sense. A lot of people are blaming the running game on offensive line, but 1 minute we have Smythe trying to lead block up the middle on a pull and a wham. You know, it's like I don't know what they're doing with the tight ends up the middle. And Smythe is not a good blocker on anything. And Julian Hill is not good when he has to block smaller guys. So it just makes zero sense. I don't know what they're trying to do, what they're making up for, something somewhere, but it's not working. I really put a lot of that on Butch Berry, who has never really coached a good offensive line. Everywhere he's been, fans have complained that the offensive line is sloppy, high penalties, which is weird. They're doing that here. I just don't think the offensive line is coached well at all. I think it's a lot more coaching than it is anything else.
Yeah. And by the way, kudos. We haven't done it all day today. Bobby and I, we wished it last night, but I want to give a shout out to a very important member of our network, Josh Kimball. I want to wish him a very happy birthday.
Yes.
I hope you had a wonderful
Happy
day.
birthday,
And
Josh Kimball.
and as a birthday present to you, my Montreal Canadiens went into Tampa after beating the Panthers 4-0 yesterday. Beat your Tampa Bay Lightning 5-2. Happy birthday, Kimball.
That's a barn burner. That's a high scoring game for hockey, right?
I know they played well. They played well. The Habs are on the roll. But no, honestly though, the offensive line in the end is coaching because because the scheming of the run, the fact that the run game was so putrid today, but it worked last week. The fact that every time we run the ball and literally the defenders were at the running backs, like literally behind the line of scrimmage. It didn't matter who they tried today. That is on protection. That is on scheme. That's not just on talent. There's ways to overcome that because you overcame it last week. And you had Fred Warner and Nick Bosa last week. You had good players on the San Francisco defense, but they keep on. I just don't understand it. It's yin and yang with this running game, and that falls on coaching because there's no consistent running game.
Jim Schwartz's defense is a different style. That's more of a wide 9, so they were already there to the edges, but they're they don't have an identity running the ball, and against the 49ers, the run game was pretty good, but they also. I don't know. It's just there's some things they're doing it consistently, some things that just aren't working, and they need better running backs. They need to upgrade running back room. It's I respect Mostert and Wilson, but they're not good. There's a reason they don't go to them a lot. Jalen Wright, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he doesn't know assignments. They just don't trust him. Whatever it is, they're not relying on him at all. They love Achane, and then they got away from him today, which they should have. I like Achane, but again, he needs to be in a different role. So we need to have a different. We need to have better running backs. We need to upgrade running back.
Scotty, that's so funny you brought him up, my man. He was on. I wrote him down earlier today to look at him. You bring up Wyatt Mullen from West Virginia.
Kudos to John and kudos to Dave
He's
Stager.
big, 6'6". That dude's huge.
Kudos for Dave Stager for giving kudos to Bobby Finstock, because the leading sack leader and who has tied the record with Aaron Donald for a rookie season with the Rams. He finishes my sentences for me. Isn't that
sorry?
Beautiful?
If you're finally giving me kudos,
and you were so down on him in the draft, right?
Oh, again, Braden Fisk, Chop Robinson, Jason Sanders. Are you ready to apologize to Chris Greer? What? And now look,
remember how much you liked Braden Fisk? Remember how much you wanted Braden Fisk?
I was pounding the table for Braden Fisk.
He's very good.
He's a stud, dude.
By the way, you know who I liked watching today? He's a very good player who's underrated beside Myles Garrett. I like Devin Bush. Devin Bush played well today.
I wanted to sign him.
He's a very good football player.
So it's funny you mentioned Braden Fisk, because they also got Jared Verse, which just seems unfair that they got two studs, but they know how to find defensive linemen.
We have Calais Campbell. Come on, we got Calais.
Yeah, we signed him.
But he probably won't come back next year. He's probably going to
retire.
retire.
Had a sign guy.
You don't think Campbell will come back? If they make it to the playoffs, if we somehow make it to a playoff game, he'll be back next year.
I still draft it. I still target.
Oh, of course, you still draft.
I don't know if he comes back.
No, would you do this?
Yeah,
would you draft a lineman and move him to nose?
Actually, I would just keep hand at nose. Well, it depends what kind of system I'm running, but the way they got their system now, I'd leave.
Well, if it's Weaver, right? I mean,
Weaver's
Sean Hand is a smart move. But
I
cannot. I mean, obviously he's really enjoying playing in Miami, despite what the record is and all that. And obviously he does play out. There's still playoffs, and he might think too, hey, look, health is a concern. Obviously, he's probably going to want to see what the quarterback situation is going to be. Obviously, not talking about QB1, but also just what's the backup role going to look like. Because he's going to want to go to a team that he knows is going to win. If Baltimore has a freed up spot, he could possibly jump ship to Baltimore. That's why I think a defensive lineman. There's a lot of good quality defensive linemen in this draft that you could get. The two kids out of Michigan,
Mason Graham.
Trust me.
No, I want that.
I didn't get Vita Vea. I want Mason Graham.
Yeah, but right? If the drafting, we're going for a safety. What's his name? Malachi Stark. If he sees Malachi Stark sitting there at 13, he's going to go after Malachi Stark.
Well, I mean,
don't hate on Malachi Stark.
I'm not. I think he's very good.
You're not gonna hear me complain because when the ball's in the air, it's his.
Yeah. But by the way, again, Jonnu Smith with everything with the tight end to have the franchise record for receptions, receiving yards, and tied for the lead for touchdowns. Congratulate Jonnu Smith, who had 77 receptions the last 2 years combined. Already has 77 receptions for the Dolphins. That he's a weapon. He's great. Resign that guy. You have to get a blocking tight end, but man, oh man, is that guy a weapon. Because if he gets yak. You're not picking him. Every time he gets the ball, the first tackle always misses. He never goes down. Goes down.
I like Jonnu, and the reason I liked him because of physicality, the blocking in space, and everything he offered. I didn't think they would use him the way they're using him, which is fantastic. So, but again, I compared him to, and I feel like this is still a good comparison because it's a good player too, Delaney Walker. Like that's the kind of player he is, and that's not a knock for those who don't know. Like Delaney Walker, that is just productive tight end, a weapon, a problem. Kind of like how they use huge check with the 49ers too. So like you can move him all around. He's going to create a lot of issues, and he's fantastic. But we still need inline tight end.
Side note, Bobby.
Yes.
I want to apologize to another Florida Miami player, but not from the Dolphins. I'm very impressed with the performance lately of Tyler Hero.
You're damn right.
He's playing. They're behind 1-1 now, going to the fourth, but he's playing. He's a great.
Yeah,
what a passer! What a passer!
I'm hopping in a second because I got to finish that game. My son's watching it.
You're not hopping nothing.
Yeah. I am hopping. We don't really got much to talk about.
Yeah,
we have a lot to talk about. We've talked about what's going on this week.
Passers is what wins you games, right? Ask Jason Kidd that. Oh, wait a minute.
Bobby, What are your thoughts on how Mike McDaniel coached today? We've yet to challenge you on Mike McDaniel. What did you think watching that game today? The challenges.
Okay, again, we talked about the challenges.
penalties. You haven't given your opinion on any of that.
I think I gave my opinion by just agreeing or disagreeing or following up on them. Again, what did I say before today's show? We get to see what McDaniel could do with another quarterback at the helm. This was a challenge for him this past season and the season before that. He actually won with Tyler Huntley, and it wasn't like a sneaky win. No, Tyler Huntley looked good back there, and it looked like he built the playbook around him or constructed a play design around him. So I got to give Coach McDaniel credit. Now, again, my personal decision, I saw Scotty put in there about Agnew and Johnson if there was a clean sweep. Again, to me, he's not scot-free. No pun intended with Scotty, but McDaniel's not scot-free on if his job is on the line or not. He still has to finish the season. This team shouldn't be where it is right now. It shouldn't be hoping and praying for the Broncos to lose. It shouldn't be hoping and praying to just sneak in. We should have this done already with this talent on this roster and everything that was built. For me, I don't, win, lose, or draw, I'm still with the Chris Greer fire train. I've been, I know Brett will say he's been leading it, but I think we've been both on that train for a while now. So, you could give credit where credit is due, and you think of Chop, you think of all these other guys but what about the bare bones? What about those premium picks? When you traded up for Eichenberg, you drafted Eichenberg instead of going after Jonathan Taylor, and there's so many other things that come into play. It's very easy trading for players. It's easy throwing Stephen Ross's checkbook at other players. But then what about those premium players, the ones in the back? I think it's still on. I still look at Chris Greer, and I'm looking at these penalties. I'm looking at the offensive line. I'm looking at everything. I'm going, this is Chris Greer. Now, obviously, you're right. Discipline comes into question. You look at it, you go, man, what the hell's going on here? What is with these head scratchers? The challenges, of course, he makes the final decision to make the challenge, but he has to trust the people up top. They're the ones calling it down. Hey, man, challenge that. There's enough to look at it. But the call one after the other, that's a head scratcher. But I think it was a better game. He did not get out coached. He did well. Yeah. He did well, especially with what he had. We talked about Anthony Weaver doing so much with less, and McDaniel did that today. I mean, there could have been every excuse in the book. We would have heard it. If the Dolphins would have lost that game, you would feel, if Tua was in, we would have won, which of course that wouldn't be the case because Tua can't play because he's hurt. That's why last 2 weeks he's been struggling. Tyler Huntley comes in, and who's been there all season. And of course we're like, oh God, for me, even though I had him winning, it was 13-9 was my prediction yesterday and today. Evan said the same one today without knowing my prediction. 13-9, even though I predicted him to be a winner, I didn't project a game like what Tyler Huntley did today. It's not like he had a Hall of Fame type game, but he had a very good game for it to come in and do it. That's what you want out of your backup quarterback. That's what we should have had as our backup quarterback earlier this year. Not Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle, Mike White, and everything else. What the hell are we doing? That's malpractice at the highest order. And I don't just put that on Chris Greer, I put that on Coach McDaniel too. But today McDaniel showed, hey, I could coach anybody other than Tua. I could do it. So I think Miami could be in this offseason, not looking somebody to replace Tua short term, like right now, but eventually someone that he could develop that could challenge for QB2, maybe could step in for QB1 if time comes. I'm not saying you're going to find that guy this year. There's nobody I'm a sucker for Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward is awesome. He's grown a lot on me, but I wouldn't spend a high draft pick on a quarterback right now because there's so much bigger issues in Miami than a quarterback. That's just a fact. So I'm rolling. I get it. There's things to nitpick, and you're right. Those things could kill you later on against a playoff team. It could kill you next week against the Jets in MetLife. However, McDaniel did his job today. You got to give him his kudos and leave it at that. I'm just saying, you asked me. Asked me.
I've been positive. I'm positive today.
Your positive is so kind of freaking sending. Don't say you've been positive. He had a good shirt today, but he still had those stupid like, come on. But no.
I know. The penalties are inexcusable.
The penalties
the penalties to go from the 50-yard line to end up on your 26, to end up at 3rd and 27 when you had 1st and 10. Those are fixable mistakes. That's a coaching. That's a discipline thing.
That is a discipline thing. But I think, again, it falls back to your position coaches. And I
Yep.
think that's going to have to. I think McDaniel's going to have to take a hard look in the mirror this offseason because I get the feeling they're not going anywhere. That's why they're comfortable benching Tua, saying like, "All right, look, he's hurt. We're comfortable. Whatever. If we lose, we're
We
safe."
lose, we lose. We win, we win.
Yeah,
That's
they
what it
had
is
like
right
nothing to worry about. So what I think is, I think he needs to look in the mirrr and say what positions are struggling and why are they struggling, to be honest with himself. If he's a smart guy, he knows football very well. If he's honest with himself, he knows his offensive line coaches are a problem. So he either needs to fix that or he needs to go another direction or something. And then special teams has to be fixed because I don't want to say it cost us games, but it completely ruined the momentum of the Green Bay game. So overall, though, I think all three phases were playing more than good enough. The defense played very well, considering, and the offense played very well, considering. People forget we still had Jalen Waddle out, who we paid. We still had, we still have issues at running back. We had Armstead go out again. We have our Lamb's a backup right tackle. So you're at backup tackle. So it's to the point where you have a lot of issues again with injuries, and coaching still pushed it forward, and they still did their job. And hey, Huntley didn't let the injuries at offensive line get to him. He still made plays, and I agree with you guys. Hats off to Mike McDaniel for saying, "Hey, I need to get reps. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know if Tua can start and then say I can't do this. I have to come out of the game. I got hurt or whatever." So he's like, "I need to get reps to Tyler Huntley." And like you guys said, like Evan brought up, that's what you got to do. But also show some love to McDaniel for actually getting fired up about a couple bad calls by officiating, yelling at the official. Like when Jordan Brooks made that tackle, he was pissed off. That's the maddest I've seen him. Like, where's that fire? I need you to be like that. But I also do want to give him credit considering all the issues, the injuries, the paper team that we've had, like the team of glass we've built from Greer. McDaniel has had a good record. It's not been terrible. I know I'm not trying to make it because Joe Phil was that way, but he's coached, I think, above. I think he's taken a team above what they could be with the injuries and all that stuff.
But
I think he's helped them overachieve a little bit with that. So I'll give him the credit there. They've never been terrible under him. It's just still coming up short. And I still put a lot of that on Greer. I still think the team building is a major issue. It's like, oh, we're going to get Adam Gates. We're going to get Brian Flores. I want to get Mike McDaniel. 3 completely different guys, completely different styles of coaching. Oh, why isn't it working? Oh, because I think I can just keep forcing my way of doing things on any coach in any system instead of saying, here's the system that works. Here's what I want to run. Here's a coach that could do it. And then find the guys that fit it. But that's why I don't put everything on McDaniel, because I feel like I think he's handcuffed by Greer.
It's such a weak move to go after McDaniel all the time, I think, from certain people.
Whoa.
My second quarter update. Evan, I don't want to hear out of you. You didn't have confidence. The rest of us are cheering. You sulk.
I did not. I was on there today. And shame on you. Shame on you. But I did tell you when Anthony Weaver was hired, we did find our head coach.
She's watching, that's why.
Just because Mike McDaniel is there, we do have a head coach on the sideline. His name is Anthony Weaver, because he's coaching the top 4 defense. Anthony Weaver this year has done more with less than Fangio had last year and what Boyer had the year before. Anthony Weaver is able to utilize. He has Josh Boyer and Storm Duck, okay, and injured Kendall Fuller. Like he's had to move in and out without Anthony Walker. He's had Benito freaking Jones. Like, that's not on him, and he's worked so well with using an aging guy. No, I got to give him to have a top 4.
You got to share that pick, man.
I mean, he did have better. He does have better linebackers than Fangio. Fangio had some bad linebackers.
He did,
but all of his edge rushers are out. Like,
he still has the number 1 defense. He still has the number 1 defense in the NFL. Fangio. It wasn't Fangio.
No, it wasn't Fangio at all. Chris Greer got pissed off that Fangio was calling him out. Like, you need to fix linebacker. And these guys that you have, Greer's like, oh, we got a good defense. No, you need to fix this and this. Greer's like, oh, the hell with you. Get out.
No, I've been waiting for Mike McDaniel, by the way, to show fire, and he showed fire today.
Yeah.
He actually looked like he gave a shit.
Honestly, this is where they reel you in, though, and this is where like they kind of like.
Yeah, I was just thinking. You know what's gonna? We're all going in. You know what's gonna happen. You know what? No, Miami's gonna end up winning, or the Chiefs are gonna end up winning, and then Miami's gonna lose, or Miami's gonna win, and the Chiefs are gonna lose, and then it's gonna be like, here we are, you know.
It's either Miami's gonna win and the Chiefs lose, and then and we're like, oh, then or like you said, it's gonna be the Broncos are gonna lose, and it's gonna be like, all right, Miami, it's on you. Fall flat on our faces.
By the way, can I ask you a question? I'm not going that far, but their grand prize, whether you're the Broncos or the Bengals, or let me ask you straight up, who would you rather have in 2 weeks? Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, or Bo Nix against Josh Allen? The only team I see of those three potentially winning a game in Buffalo is Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
It's only Joe Burrow.
I'm about to say,
who would I rather see?
No. Who has the best chance to go into Buffalo in 2 weeks and pick up the victory? And that is only one team. It ain't the Broncos.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh, you're full of crap.
I'm saying right now,
Joe Burrow.
Tagovailoa.
I'll make a prediction here. If Joe Burrow goes into Buffalo, he beats Josh Allen.
I'm going to tell you this. The one team I think other teams are looking at right now, and I think the Ravens and Steelers are probably saying the same thing, is
no Broncos.
For the love of God, Broncos and
Bengals.
Dolphins win. Because if the Bengals win,
bullshit.
We do not want to see them in the playoffs because the Bengals very well could be like the Giants. You know what I mean? In the past, because they're a dangerous team, especially with Burrow. You just don't know what Bengals team is going to show up.
Ice in his veins.
So, and the Broncos are not a bad team. But I feel better against a rookie quarterback than I do.
We could have had Jamar Chase. We could have had Jamar Chase. We could have had Jamar Chase.
Let it go.
Do you see that guy? Did you see Justin? Wait. Did you see the one? We have Austin Jackson. Did you see the one-hander of Justin Jefferson today? Go watch the highlight of Justin Jefferson catching the ball with one hand jumping.
Although I did see Tyreek Hill catch a lot of passes in front of him.
9 for 9 today. Why does he always? Let me ask you, Brett, from a perspective of a football analyst.
A negative Nancy.
Let me ask you, why is it that
I had to troll?
No, let me ask you. I'm actually asking a serious question.
Are you?
Why is it that every time Tyreek Hill has the ball, he runs backwards?
He's trying to make room, play.
He's trying to make a play,
which he never does.
Yeah, he's trying to make room, make the play,
and he never does.
Yeah. But like his, I thought he didn't get the first down, and maybe he probably shouldn't have on the one, but they gave it to him anyway. I was like, I'll take it. I was like, damn, he ran himself out of a first down because he ran backwards, and then they said he got it. I was like, okay, I'll take it. Yeah, they gave him forward momentum or something. I was like, whatever. I'll take bad officiating on my side for 100 bet. So I'll take it every time.
My mother was messaging me earlier because I yawned, and I just yawned again, and so I was just gonna say, I had a late night, been up since this morning, doing shows. So let me yawn. Let it be. I'm almost.
No, we have yawning is contagious, so be careful.
I know. But anyway, so okay, not the Broncos Chiefs game because can't control that. It doesn't matter. But
we're gonna get flexed, by the way.
What you saw today, and Brett, we'll start with you. Evan, follow up before we wrap it up. But what you saw today, you don't have to give your prediction or anything of that nature. You could if you want, but from what you saw from the team, can this Dolphins team with Huntley at quarterback beat the Jets this week?
Oh yeah. Jets are a mess. I think they're quitting on themselves, and they got blown up by the Bills. And I still think they could have gave the Bills a little bit more of a fight than they did. But you got Rodgers yelling at receivers and all, so I think we stand a good chance to beat them, even with Huntley, as we were without the with all the backups we had in. The only issue I see is if believe it or not, if my God, forgive me, I'm tired. If Tyrod Taylor plays, because. Well, we all know about Tyrod Taylor, but no, that's your only chance to beat us.
Are you trying to get credit again?
I mentioned it at the beginning of the show.
Everybody's mentioned Tyrod Taylor.
Well, I made the point that I'd be more concerned before when the show started. You asked me. I said I'd rather see Tyler Huntley versus Aaron Rodgers than Tua Tagovailoa versus Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, and the last time we played Tyrod was with Houston. We did really good against them, but they were just a struggling team. Same thing with the Jets. So, but I don't know. We'll see. I think we have a good chance of winning. I don't think there's any reason they can't. And I think they're going to end up with 9-8. I mean, it's of course it would be like the Dolphins to lose, but I mean, like I could see Mike McDaniel because he's had a lot of success against the Jets, even with the backup quarterback. I think he 1-1 against the Jets with a backup. Something like that.
Yeah.
So I think he's only had it twice. And then we got blown out the one time with him. But the Jets were in a lot different situation then. And Teddy Bridgewater got hurt, and we had a third Skyler come in. So it was just an ugly game all around.
Who was the tackle that game when he got mauled? Was it Austin Jackson?
I don't even remember now.
Remember he got mauled in the end zone? Oh, my God.
Yeah. But, yeah, so I think we do.
Okay. I want to just give kudos to one thing because I've been pretty amazed considering the season. I watched post game and I'm watching in the crowd. Dolphin fans travel. As bad as this team has been,
always.
You go look at the Cleveland fans, the MetLife takeover. I guarantee you the increase in tickets that whoever manages that, I forget the name of the pub, has that game next week. Like they are going to be out there. The Dolphin fans travel. So kudos to them for cheering on their team. No matter
and Ohio's actually pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Dolphin fans, believe it or not. My father-in-law's from there. He was a Dolphin fan. It's pretty crazy.
So I got to give kudos to them. But overall, the Dolphins are going to win next week. That's not the concern. The concern is whether or not the Chiefs have anything to play for. Because they're going to do the defense, no matter what happens next week, the defense did their job today. What did I say in the pregame, Bobby? Turnovers.
Yeah.
We need to turn over the ball. We need to get turnovers from that team, from the Browns. And we have to spread the ball around, and we have to use our playmakers, and that's what happened. And Jason Sanders had to be money, and Jason Sanders was money. But honestly, this team has zero. The Dolphins, if they win next week with Tyler Huntley, there's positives to take out next week. If they win with Tua, there's some positives to take out because in the end, they're right now 3-1 in December. I don't care who you play in December; they're 3-1 in December.
Fair.
If they win next week, they're 4-1 in December.
Is that game in KC real quick?
No, it's in Denver.
Okay.
And that's why the game with the Dolphins is going to be flexed to 4:25 because the Denver game will not be at 1:00 because it can't start at noon. So the game is going to be flexed to both be at 4:00 or 4:25.
Just so you know, the Chiefs are 3-0 on the road the last 3 years.
But I want to mention, but the poor sports track, the Broncos are opening up as 8-point favorites at home.
I'll believe it.
That's fair. I mean, I can understand why they'll be favorites, but again, I don't know how much of their defense going to play. I know the big name is Pat Mahomes won't be Carson Wentz, but I think that the Chiefs team is better, does its offense a lot of favors now. So I still have hope that the Chiefs could beat the Broncos. Miami just has to do their job. And for Miami, they can't worry about that game. They need to be focused on their game. Just do your job, win the game, and let everything else work itself out. And then we'll worry about the Buffalo game because that's what it will be because Buffalo locked in 2 already.
I would much rather the Dolphins play first, so they're not even focused on that game.
No,
I would too. I would rather that too.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that. They're going to play both.
No, I agree. I'm just saying if I had the choice, I would much rather my team not have that.
Well, Evan was wrong yesterday. Evan said that Tua was going to play, and he was wrong. So,
so when they said that they were doubtful, Barry did bring up that it's not just something you could just start a player. You have to have he's magically better. Usually doubtful means
doubtful means he's out.
Play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll all just keep you our real Satanists to want to see Miami get destroyed by Buffalo. Any given Sunday, brother. Any given Sunday.
I'm okay watching get destroyed in the playoffs because it's like, oh look, 3 years in a row,
That's
playoffs
right.
in a row, and you can't win one. Didn't Marvin Lewis get fired for that?
Yep.
He was one and done every time.
Where's Marvin Lewis now? I saw him recently on the sideline. I'm trying to remember what team he's a.
The Raiders.
Yes, the Raiders. He's on the Raiders.
Yeah,
yes,
that's what I thought. I think he's an advisor or something, right?
Yeah, Marvin Lewis, man. That dude, I like him, man. I feel.
And that's no shot at him. It's just he.
Yeah. No.
Always good, always respectable team, but one and done every year. So it's
100%. But anyway, Scotty's right. It's true. And that goes for Miami. Focus on what Miami can control. Focus on what they can control. Beat the Jets. That's all they need to do. Can't worry about the Broncos game. Can't worry about anything else. do your job. You beat the Jets. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then if it doesn't, of course, we know we'll all be here. We'll say, okay, we're all going off on our GM. We're all going on this. We shouldn't even be here. But if they win, then we're talking about another week. We're talking about Buffalo and why, like the DHG saying we're going to lose and and we'll talk about how they could possibly win and all this, and we'll just have fun with it. But guys, before we wrap it up, I'll let Finstanza have the final word with Brett, and then we'll close this out. Finstanza, final thoughts, my man.
Congratulations on the Miami Dolphins making next week relevant for the Finstock Sports Network.
There you go.
Hey,
Brett,
we got
Thursday.
Hey, we're not looking at what do we care? Do we even care about next week anymore? I mean, honestly, if we don't make the playoffs, whatever. My feelings are gonna be hurt. It's just we all know that next year, if everybody's back, everybody's on a hot seat, and that's their final year if they don't do something. So for me, focus on this, win next week, and take care of your own business. And I feel pretty confident they could do it with Tyler Huntley, and I think that you have your backup next year. And I think you need to start asking yourself questions after this week. If you could win with Tyler Huntley, I think you have a decision to make. If we make the playoffs, you have a decision to make of who you're going to start, because are you going to risk starting hurt Tua in the playoff, or are you just going to go with Tyler Huntley?
There you go.
Or hurt Tua.
And what matters is, and Scotty just put that in there, and I said if that's how it's going to finish, we're playing meaningful. The Dolphins are going to play meaningful football in Week 18.
I have an important question.
Oh, yes.
For both of you. Might as well ask it now. Do you play 100% Huntley or an 80% Tua next week?
Wait, no, you play 100% Huntley.
You're playing against the Jets, and what Huntley did today, you play 100% Huntley. Because if if Tua's 80% now, he could be 100% against the Bills.
Do you play if they make the playoffs, do you play 100% Huntley or an 80% Tua?
If they make the playoffs?
If they're in that playoff game in Buffalo, do you play an injured Tua, not 100% Tua, or Tyler Huntley, who took you 2
you gotta
wins
play
to the playoffs?
Tua. You gotta play Tua.
Yeah, if it's the playoffs, then at that point you play Tua. You got it.
And it's less to do with the better chance to win. It's more to do. He's the guy you paid.
Yes,
this
is why you pay him to do this.
Yeah, let's find out what he is.
Huntley's doing his job at that point. With the Jets next week, because you're facing the Jets, you put in Huntley. QB2. You don't risk QB1. You hope that you do your best, because you could beat a Jets team with Huntley.
That's why I said
Buffalo. If it's an 80% Tua, that's when you start Tua, because again, this is the big stage and he has to show up. Because if he doesn't, then everybody, but he didn't even play. No, he needs to get in there for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I said you have a decision to make if Tua is less than 80%. So
right here,
yeah.
So there you go. We were paying this guy $50 million. That's why he has to play against Buffalo. So I would rather sit him next week and let him play against Buffalo. And also,
but here's the thing. Let's say he can't go. Let's say he is too hurt to play against Buffalo, and you have to start Tyler Huntley. That's 2 out of 3 years you made the playoffs.
That's right, and then you have to make a decision. He wasn't
available, and that's the same thing as not winning. It's like he's not available, so now what?
The best ability is availability. That's it.
So it does bring up questions. So yeah.
So does that mean at the end of the season we have to relook at Brett's contract, since the most important commodity is availability and he's never available?
No.
Tyler Huntley. I'm just a Tyler Huntley of the network.
That's right.
Or no.
All right, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in to the Miami Dolphins postgame show here on FTSN. That's Brett Legassi. That's Finstanza. I'm Bobby Finstock. We appreciate you all. Dolphins playing some meaningful football next week. They're still alive. So do me a favor. Like, subscribe, and most importantly, fins up, Dolphin fans.
Go, Jason Sanders!